Long ago, out of a beautiful shell, the world emerged. The shell began to open slowly, letting a tiny ray of light inside. The top of the shell became Ranginui, the Sky Father. The bottom became Papatūānuku, the Earth Mother. Sometimes you hear their names shortened to Rangi and Papa. Now, Rangi and Papa loved each other dearly, so they stayed very close, holding on to each other so tightly. Rangi and Papa had many sons, gods, or atua. Each atua was strong and powerful in their own way, and each atua wanted to create a wonderful world around them, and so they set to work. Tāne Mahuta, or Tāne, the god of the forest, planted many trees and bushes, shrubs and flowers. Rich green colours covered Papa's body like a beautiful green patchwork quilt. Roots dug into the earth, and things everywhere started to grow. Colourful blossoms began to bloom and filled the air with their sweet smells. Stiff fern fronds and bushy green leaves opened out across Papa. Tāne was overjoyed when bright red flowers burst forth from the branches of the pahutakawa trees. And when the strong kauri trees began to spread, he called the others to celebrate the beauty of all he had grown. But Tāne was not alone among the creators. Haumea created wild foods and vegetables. His brother Tangaroa, god of the mighty wild ocean, pulled the water up to the shores, where its waves licked at the sand. Tāwhiri, who was the atua of the wind and storms, and his brother Tūmātoenga, or Tū, the atua of hunting, promised each other that they would protect everything. They were both very brave and very strong. The world grew and grew. The forests and seas began to fill up with animals and life. Creatures roamed the land and birds filled the sky. Fish started to swim in the ocean, and butterflies floated delicately among the many flowers. But now that more and more things filled the world, Rangi and Papa's children began to long for more space and more light so that things could keep growing. Papa, they said to their mother, let go of Rangi. You don't need to hold on to him so closely. If you'll let go a little bit, he'll still know you love him deeply, and our world will be able to grow. Papa shook her head. I will not let go, she said to her sons. Do not ask such a thing of me. And so the gods, the atua, turned to their father, but Rangi agreed with Papa. As time passed, it seemed as if Rangi was pulling even closer to Papa. There was barely any light in the world between them both. Their sons began to fear that the life and beauty they were creating would be crushed between Rangi and Papa's embrace. So the atua sat down together to talk. How can we convince them to let go of each other? Just a little bit, Haumea asked. They don't seem to understand that their love will still remain, even if they are apart. It's true they love each other, spoke Tāne. And they love us, so surely they will let go, even just a little bit. Then we will be free to move about and continue making beautiful things for this world. But as more time passed, Rangi and Papa did not let go. We need more space, their children called. All the gods but one agreed that Rangi and Papa should move further apart. Tāwhiri, the god of storms and winds, shook his head in disapproval, and wild, angry wind swept over the land. It picked up sand and made the air feel rough. Still, the other children begged their parents to let go of each other for the sake of all of the other creatures. But still, Rangi and Papa refused to part. In the end, the atua lost their patience. "We will push you apart then," they said, and began to push. But no matter how hard they pushed, they could not break the strong embrace of their parents. Tāne, the strongest of the brothers, placed his shoulders against his mother's puku, and with his feet he pressed against Rangi. The others watched in wonder as slowly, ever so slowly, the grip between Rangi and Papa seemed to shift. Light and fresh air began to fill the world. And after a while, the space between Rangi and Papa grew wide enough so that the trees could grow tall and birds flew high up in the sky. This created the world of light in which we live today, Te Ao Marama. The gods set to work creating more and more life. Lush leaves, as green as pounamu, covered the strong branches of Te Ngahere, the forest. The rivers filled with tuna, or eels, and manu, birds, filled the sky and played inside of the clouds. Rangi and Papa were proud of what their sons had achieved. Even though they missed each other's touch, they knew the love they had for one another and for their whānau could not be destroyed by being apart. The earth continued to blossom with their aroha, their love.